Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to an in-depth exploration of Islam in Cambodia, a fascinating journey through history, demographics, and contemporary life. In this comprehensive overview, we'll delve into the rich tapestry of Muslim experience in this Southeast Asian nation. We'll begin by tracing the roots of Islam in Cambodia, from its arrival with Arab traders to the influential Cham migration. Then, we'll examine current population figures, breaking down the proportions of Sunni and Shia Muslims. Our journey continues with a look at the daily lives of Cambodian Muslims, their occupations, and where they primarily reside. We'll also confront the challenges faced by this minority community, from economic disparities to cultural preservation. Finally, we'll address the sensitive topic of Islamophobia, examining whether it exists in Cambodia and in what forms. This exploration offers a nuanced picture of a resilient community that has long been an integral part of Cambodia's diverse cultural landscape. Let's begin our journey through the past and present of Islam in Cambodia. The story of Islam in Cambodia is a tale of trade, migration, and cultural exchange that spans centuries. It all began around the 13th century, during a time when maritime trade was flourishing across Southeast Asia. Arab and Indian merchants, sailing their dhows along ancient trade routes, were among the first to bring Islam to the shores of what we now call Cambodia. These early Muslim traders weren't just exchanging goods, they were also sharing ideas, customs, and beliefs. Some of them settled in coastal areas, establishing small communities that became the first seeds of Islam in the region. However, at this stage, the Islamic presence was limited and didn't penetrate far into the Cambodian heartland. The real turning point came in the 15th century, with the arrival of the Cham people. The Cham had a well-established kingdom in what is now central Vietnam, known as Champa. They had embraced Islam centuries earlier, likely through contact with Muslim traders. When the Champa kingdom fell to Vietnamese expansion, many Cham fled southward into Cambodia. These Cham refugees brought with them a more organized and established form of Islam. They settled along the Mekong River and in other parts of Cambodia, forming communities that preserved their Islamic faith and customs. The Cham weren't just refugees. They were skilled warriors, traders, and craftsmen. Their talents made them valuable to Cambodian society, and over time, they integrated while maintaining their distinct religious identity. It's important to note that the Islam practiced by the Cham was influenced by their Southeast Asian context. It often incorporated elements of local traditions and beliefs, resulting in a unique form of Islam that differed somewhat from that practiced in the Middle East. Throughout the following centuries, these Muslim communities grew and spread. They maintained connections with other Muslim populations in the region, particularly in Malaysia and Indonesia. These links helped to reinforce and evolve their Islamic practices. The 19th century saw another significant influx of Muslims, this time from the Malay Peninsula. These newcomers added to the diversity of the Muslim population in Cambodia, bringing their own traditions and interpretations of Islam. Despite these waves of Islamic influence, Cambodia remained predominantly Buddhist. The Muslim communities existed as minorities, often concentrated in specific regions. They lived alongside their Buddhist neighbors, sometimes intermarrying and engaging in trade while maintaining their distinct religious practices. The 20th century brought new challenges. During the French colonial period, Muslims, like other Cambodians, had to navigate a changing political landscape. Then came the devastating period of the Khmer Rouge regime in the 1970s. This was a particularly dark time for Cambodian Muslims, as the regime targeted them along with other minority groups. Many were killed, and others were forced to abandon their religious practices. In the aftermath of the Khmer Rouge period, Cambodia's Muslim communities had to rebuild. They re-established their mosques, schools, and community structures. International Islamic organizations provided aid and support during this reconstruction period. Today, the Muslim population in Cambodia is the result of this long and complex history. It's a community shaped by centuries of trade, migration, persecution, and resilience. The Islam practiced in Cambodia reflects this history. It's a faith that has adapted to local conditions while maintaining connections to the broader Islamic world. This rich historical backdrop sets the stage for understanding the current situation of Muslims in Cambodia, their challenges, and their place in contemporary Cambodian society. Let us now delve deeper into the current demographic composition of the Muslim population in Cambodia. As of the most recent surveys and estimates, Muslims make up approximately 2 to 3% of Cambodia's total population. To put this into perspective, with Cambodia's total population hovering around 16 to 17 million people, we're looking at a Muslim community of roughly 300,000 to 400,000 individuals. However, it's important to note that these numbers can vary slightly depending on the source and the specific year of the survey. The vast majority of Muslims in Cambodia are Sunni Muslims. They follow the Shafi'i school of Islamic jurisprudence, which is one of the 4 major Sunni schools of Islamic law. This alignment with the Shafi'i school is common in Southeast Asia, shared by many Muslims in neighboring countries like Malaysia and Indonesia. When we break down the numbers further, we find that Sunni Muslims make up more than 99% of the Muslim population in Cambodia. This means that out of every 100 Muslims you might meet in Cambodia, 99 or more would likely be Sunni. The Shia presence in Cambodia is extremely small. While exact numbers are hard to come by due to the small size of this community, it's estimated that Shia Muslims constitute less than 1% of the total Muslim population in Cambodia. We might be talking about just a few hundred individuals at most. It's worth noting that within the Sunni majority, there's some diversity in terms of religious practice and cultural traditions. This is largely due to the historical factors we discussed earlier. The descendants of the Cham people, for instance, might have slightly different customs compared to Muslims of Malay descent. Another interesting aspect of the Muslim demographics in Cambodia is the geographic distribution. While Muslims can be found throughout the country, they tend to be concentrated in certain areas. The provinces of Kampong Cham, Kampot, and Kandal have significant Muslim populations, as does the capital city of Phnom Penh. When it comes to ethnicity, the majority of Muslims in Cambodia are of Cham origin. The Cham people, as we discussed earlier, have a long history in the region and form the core of Cambodia's Muslim community. However, there are also Muslims of Malay descent, as well as some of Indian or Pakistani origin, particularly in urban areas. It's also important to mention that these demographic figures can be subject to change. Factors like birth rates, migration patterns, and even changes in how people identify religiously can affect these numbers over time. For instance, some sources suggest that the Muslim population in Cambodia has been growing slightly faster than the overall population in recent years, though this growth has been gradual. One challenge in getting precise figures is that religious demographics aren't always consistently tracked in official censuses. Sometimes religious affiliation is grouped into broader categories, which can make it difficult to get exact numbers for smaller religious communities. Despite being a minority, the Muslim community in Cambodia is an integral part of the country's social fabric. Their presence adds to the cultural and religious diversity of Cambodia, contributing to the nation's multicultural character. Understanding these demographic details is crucial for grasping the overall situation of Muslims in Cambodia. It provides context for their social, economic, and political experiences, and helps in appreciating the challenges and opportunities they face as a minority community in a predominantly Buddhist country. Let's take a closer look at the daily lives and activities of Muslims in Cambodia, as well as where they primarily reside. The daily life of Muslims in Cambodia is a blend of religious observance and participation in the broader Cambodian society. Like Muslims around the world, their days are often structured around the 5 daily prayers. You'll find mosques in Muslim communities bustling with activity, especially during Friday prayers. Many Cambodian Muslims start their day early with the Fajr prayer at dawn. After that, their daily routines vary depending on their occupations. In rural areas, which is where a significant portion of the Muslim population lives, many are involved in agriculture. They work in rice paddies, tend to vegetable gardens, or raise livestock. Fishing is another common occupation, especially in communities near the Mekong River or the coast. In urban areas like Phnom Penh, Muslims are engaged in a variety of professions. Some run small businesses such as halal food stalls, butcher shops, or clothing stores. Others work in various sectors of the economy, from construction to office jobs. there's a growing number of Muslim professionals in fields like education, medicine, and law, though they're still underrepresented in these areas compared to the general population. Education is highly valued in the Muslim community. Many Muslim children attend public schools during the day and then go to madrasas, Islamic schools, in the evenings or on weekends to learn about their religion, study the Quran, and learn Arabic. Some communities have full-time Islamic schools that combine religious and secular education. Community life is crucial for Cambodian Muslims. Mosques serve not just as places of worship, but as community centers. They host religious classes, organize charity events, and serve as gathering places for celebrations like Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. During Ramadan, the holy month of fasting, Muslim communities come alive with special activities. People gather for iftar, breaking of the fast, meals, often sharing food with neighbors regardless of their religion. Many mosques provide free meals for those in need during this time. Halal food is an important aspect of daily life. In areas with significant Muslim populations, you'll find halal butchers and restaurants. In more mixed areas, Muslims often have to be more mindful about their food choices. Marriage and family life are guided by Islamic principles, though these are often blended with local Cambodian customs. Weddings, for instance, might incorporate both Islamic and traditional Khmer elements. Despite being a minority, many Cambodian Muslims strive to maintain their religious and cultural identity while also integrating into the broader Cambodian society. This balance can sometimes be challenging, especially for younger generations who are navigating between traditional Islamic values and the influences of modern Cambodian society. Overall, the daily lives of Muslims in Cambodia reflect a community that is deeply rooted in its faith, while also being an integral part of the country's diverse cultural landscape. Their experiences vary widely depending on factors like location, economic status, and individual levels of religious observance, painting a rich and complex picture of Islamic life in Cambodia. Let's delve into the challenges and problems faced by the Muslim population in Cambodia. Despite improvements in recent years, this community still grapples with several issues. One of the most significant challenges is economic disparity. Many Muslim communities, particularly in rural areas, lag behind in terms of economic development. This stems from a combination of historical factors, including the devastation of the Khmer Rouge period, which hit minority communities especially hard. Muslims often find themselves in lower-paying jobs or struggling to access the same economic opportunities as their Buddhist counterparts. This economic gap can lead to a cycle of poverty that's difficult to break. Education is another area of concern. While Muslim children generally have access to public schools, there are often barriers to higher education. Language can be an issue, especially for those who primarily speak Cham at home. Additionally, some families prioritize religious education over secular studies, which can limit career prospects. There's also a shortage of Muslim role models in professional fields, which can discourage young Muslims from pursuing higher education or certain career paths. Representation in government and public service is another challenge. Muslims are underrepresented in political positions and in the civil service. This lack of representation can make it harder for the community to have its concerns heard and addressed at the policy level. Cultural preservation is an ongoing issue. As Cambodia modernizes and becomes more interconnected with the global economy, there's a risk of losing traditional Cham and Muslim customs. Younger generations in particular may feel torn between their Islamic heritage and the pull of mainstream Cambodian culture. There's also the challenge of maintaining religious infrastructure. While the government generally allows the construction of mosques, securing funding for building and maintaining these structures can be difficult. Some communities struggle to support full-time imams or to provide comprehensive Islamic education. Healthcare access can be an issue, particularly in rural areas where many Muslims live. There may be cultural barriers to accessing healthcare, especially for women who prefer to be treated by female doctors. Additionally, there's often a lack of halal options in hospitals, which can be a concern for patients requiring extended stays. Land rights have been a contentious issue for some Muslim communities. In some cases, long-established Muslim villages have faced pressure from development projects or land disputes. This can be particularly challenging given the community's historical connection to specific areas. Integration versus isolation is an ongoing dilemma. While many Muslims are well integrated into Cambodian society, others live in relatively isolated communities. This isolation can limit economic and educational opportunities and contribute to misunderstandings with the broader population. Discrimination, while not systemic, does occur on an individual level. Some Muslims report facing prejudice in job applications or in daily interactions. This can be more pronounced in areas where there's less interaction between Muslims and the majority Buddhist population. The legacy of the Khmer Rouge period continues to impact the community. Many older Muslims carry trauma from this time, and the destruction of religious institutions and community structures during this period has had long-lasting effects. Religious freedom, while generally protected by law, can sometimes face challenges in practice. For example, there have been occasional tensions over issues like the building of new mosques or the public celebration of Islamic holidays in predominantly Buddhist areas. Lastly, there's the challenge of balancing religious obligations with the demands of modern life. For instance, finding time for daily prayers can be difficult in some work environments, and obtaining halal food can be challenging in areas with smaller Muslim populations. It's important to note that while these challenges exist, the situation for Muslims in Cambodia has generally improved over the past few decades. The government has made efforts to be more inclusive, and there's growing recognition of the Muslim community's place in Cambodia's multicultural society. However, addressing these ongoing issues requires continued effort from both the government and civil society to ensure full equality and integration for Cambodia's Muslim population. All right, let's explore the fifth part, which focuses on Islamophobia and any potential struggles against Islam in Cambodia. This is a nuanced topic, and it's important to approach it with sensitivity and accuracy. In general, Cambodia is known for its religious tolerance, and overt Islamophobia is not as pronounced or institutionalized as it might be in some other countries. However, this doesn't mean that tensions or misunderstandings don't exist. Unlike some Western countries, Cambodia doesn't have prominent anti-Muslim organizations or political movements specifically targeting Islam. The government officially promotes religious harmony and protects freedom of religion for all faiths, including Islam. This official stance helps to prevent the emergence of organized Islamophobic groups. That said, there are subtle forms of prejudice and misunderstanding that the Muslim community sometimes faces. These are often rooted in ignorance rather than malice, stemming from a lack of interaction between Muslim and non-Muslim communities, especially in areas where the populations don't frequently mix. Some common misconceptions or stereotypes about Muslims in Cambodia include associating them with extremism or viewing them as not fully Cambodian. These attitudes are more prevalent in rural areas where there's less exposure to diverse communities. Occasionally, there have been localized tensions, particularly around issues like the construction of new mosques in predominantly Buddhist areas. These situations are usually resolved through dialogue and mediation, often with government involvement to ensure religious freedoms are protected. In the media, representation of Muslims can be mixed. While there's generally not overt anti-Muslim sentiment in Cambodian media, Muslims are often underrepresented, and when they are portrayed, it's not always with full understanding of their culture and beliefs. The global context of Islamophobia does have some impact in Cambodia. International news about Islamic extremism can sometimes lead to increased suspicion or wariness towards local Muslim communities, even though Cambodian Muslims have no connection to these events. It's worth noting that there have been concerns about foreign influence in Cambodia's Muslim communities. The government has expressed worries about the potential for radicalization, particularly given the experiences of some neighboring countries. This has led to increased monitoring of religious activities in some cases, which some in the Muslim community view as unwarranted surveillance. Education plays a crucial role in combating misunderstandings. There have been efforts by both Muslim organizations and government agencies to promote interfaith dialogue and educate the broader Cambodian public about Islam. These initiatives aim to foster understanding and dispel myths about the religion. In terms of a struggle against Islam, it would be an overstatement to say there's an organized or systemic effort against the religion in Cambodia. The challenges Muslims face are more often related to socio-economic factors, cultural preservation, and subtle forms of discrimination rather than outright hostility or opposition to their faith. The Cambodian constitution protects religious freedom, and the government generally upholds this principle. However, like any minority group, Muslims sometimes feel the need to assert their rights and ensure their voices are heard in national conversations. It's also important to mention that within the Muslim community itself, there can be tensions between more conservative and more liberal interpretations of Islam. This internal diversity sometimes leads to debates about religious practices and integration into Cambodian society. In recent years, there's been growing recognition of the Cham Muslims as an integral part of Cambodia's cultural tapestry. Efforts to preserve Cham language and culture, including their Islamic heritage, have received support from both government and non-governmental organizations. Overall, while Cambodia doesn't face the level of Islamophobia seen in some other countries, there are still challenges in terms of full social integration and understanding. The situation continues to evolve, with ongoing efforts from both the Muslim community and broader Cambodian society to foster mutual understanding and respect. This complex picture reflects the nuanced position of Muslims in Cambodia, a community that is an established part of the nation's fabric, yet still working to navigate its place in a predominantly Buddhist society. The lack of organized Islamophobia doesn't mean there aren't challenges, but it does provide a foundation for continued integration and mutual understanding. As we wrap up our exploration of Islam in Cambodia, I hope you've gained a deeper understanding of this vibrant and resilient community. From its rich history dating back to the 13th century, to the challenges and triumphs of modern-day Cambodian Muslims, their story is an integral part of Cambodia's diverse cultural tapestry. We've journeyed through the arrival of Islam with Arab traders, witnessed the impact of Cham migration, and examined the current demographics of the Muslim population. We've explored their daily lives, from bustling markets in Phnom Penh to quiet villages along the Mekong River. We've also confronted the realities of the challenges they face and the ongoing efforts to promote understanding and integration. This complex and nuanced picture of Islam in Cambodia reminds us of the importance of religious tolerance and cultural diversity in our increasingly interconnected world. It's a story of resilience, adaptation, and hope. If you found this video informative and engaging, I'd really appreciate your support. Please hit that subscribe button to stay updated on more in-depth explorations of cultures and communities around the world. Your subscription helps me continue creating content that promotes understanding and bridges cultural divides. Don't forget to leave a comment below, sharing your thoughts or any questions you might have. Your engagement helps foster a community of curious, open-minded individuals eager to learn about diverse cultures and experiences. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the world of Cambodian Muslims. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep an open mind. See you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.